If you haven't tried stuffing your potatoes with beef, let me tell you, you're missing out on this amazing Egyptian dish. For this stuffed potato dish to turn out perfectly, every single component must be prepared correctly, starting with the meat, which gives this dish its flavor, to the potatoes, which need to be firm to hold the meat inside without breaking, but at the same time they must be perfectly cooked and melt in your mouth. In this video, I'll show you how I made it without deep frying it in oil, avoiding unnecessary calories. For this dish, I chose small potatoes so that they would cook well, and also so the size of the pieces would be easy to bite into, not so gigantic. This was 1 kilo or about 2 pounds of potatoes. First, I had to make sure that the potatoes fit in the baking dish just right with their peel on. After peeling and frying, their size shrinks a bit, and this allows me to remove each piece intact without it breaking. I peeled the whole batch, washed them, and I cored them using this corer. If you don't have it, use an apple corer or even a steak knife, but it's not going to be as easy, to be honest. I made sure the core is wide enough to hold the beef. Just be careful when coring the potatoes not to reach the very end and puncture them, but if you do, like I did with a few of them, it's okay. Just carry on and pretend like nothing happened. And don't throw away the core. Put it in the fridge while you do the rest of the steps. To reduce the calories in this dish, as I mentioned, instead of deep frying the potatoes, I brushed them with oil and made sure the oil cover every part of the potato, even inside the hole. Then I put them in the air fryer and half cooked them until they looked like this. This step, whether in deep oil or in the air fryer, is important because it creates a firm, solid outer layer on the potato that prevents it from breaking while it cooks or when you lift it out of the oven dish later. Before frying the potatoes, I had already cooked the ground beef. To do that, I heated oil in a pan over medium-high heat and added the beef bit by bit so as not to crowd the pan, and I kept breaking it up as it cooked. I don't usually add fat to the ground beef, but this beef was so lean, which is why I used oil. I also added some spices. The seasoning I usually add for every half a kilo or for every pound of ground beef are 1 teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of black pepper, and 1 teaspoon of Middle Eastern spices. For this recipe, the total amount of ground beef I used was half a kilo, which is about 1 pound. I stirred the beef while breaking it up until it started browning. When all the beef was done, I chopped a small onion, a small green pepper, and a wedge of bell pepper in the food processor until they were finely chopped. Then in the same pan, where I cooked the meat, I heated a little bit of oil over medium-high heat and added all these vegetables. I sweated them for a couple of minutes. Then I added the beef I had set aside, along with 2 tablespoons of tomato paste to enhance the flavor. Then I stirred everything until the meat was fully cooked. Next, I made the sauce. I melted 1 teaspoon of ghee or butter in a pan over medium-high heat and added a chopped medium onion. I also crushed 2 cloves of garlic onto it and sweated this onion for a bit. Then I added 2 tablespoons of tomato paste, then stirred until the tomato paste thoroughly coated the onion. Here I added 2 cups of strained tomato juice and half a cup of water. I seasoned this sauce with 1 teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of black pepper, and a bouillon cube. You can use stock if you'd like. I usually add half a teaspoon of sugar as well, but I forgot this time. Don't forget, it eliminates the acidity. I stirred the ingredients well and lowered the heat, covered the pan and let it simmer for 10 minutes or until its color and its aroma and its flavor deepened. Then I took it off the heat. I then started stuffing the potatoes with the beef I just cooked. I used my finger to make sure the meat completely filled the hole in the potato by gently pushing it inside. Don't push too hard so it doesn't break. And obviously it's better to wait for the potatoes to cool before stuffing them, so you don't burn yourself. I used half a kilo of beef for 1 kilogram of potatoes, which means 1 pound of beef for 2 pounds of potatoes. This ratio leaves some leftover beef, which is good. I'll tell you why in a bit. After stuffing all the potatoes, I tilted the dish by propping one side up on a towel so I could rearrange the potatoes standing up without them falling over. Remember the leftover beef? I put it on the potato bits that I cored. You know which ones I'm talking about, right? I distributed the beef over those potato bits. Then on top of them, I arranged the stuffed potatoes. Don't overcrowd the dish. Leave tiny gaps so you can remove the potatoes after they're cooked without breaking them. That's why I told you to make sure that the potatoes fit in the dish with their peel on, so that you can get those tiny gaps. After adding all the potatoes, I covered everything with the sauce I made and put the dish in the oven that I had preheated to 200 degrees Celsius, which is about 390 Fahrenheit. And I turned on the heat from all sides. top and bottom. Or you can just run it from the bottom until the potatoes at the bottom of the dish are fully cooked. Then turn on the broiler until the top is browned. I took it out when it looked like this. I could tell it was cooked by tasting the potatoes at the bottom from between the gaps. They should be very tender and mash easily. The potato bits and beef at the bottom are also wonderful, by the way. But check this out. Even though the bits at the bottom are almost mashed, the stuffed ones are still firm and have held their beef inside well. And it's so tasty. This dish on its own can actually be considered a full meal. It has carbs, meat, and a few vegetables. Honestly, you might just need to add a salad on the side, but I love to serve it with rice. Tell me, what would you serve it with? And if you're still watching, thank you so much for watching to the end.